So then the 24 teams are confirmed for the upcoming 24-25 championship season. What is the bookies' predictions now that all 24 teams have been confirmed? Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today, like I say, we are having an early look at the championship predictions from the bookmakers. Just remember, this is not my predictions. Please don't get upset with these predictions at me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just showing you the bookmakers' predictions. I'll do my own early predictions in a few days or maybe even a week from now, but let's just have a look at the bookmakers' predictions for now. Before we get into this video, guys, please do feel free to show the video some support. Let's go for 2,000 likes. It's free to hit the like button, so make sure to do so, and it's also free to hit that subscribe button. As you can see, we are now 2/3 of the way to 100,000 subscribers, and that would be amazing to do next season, so make sure to subscribe as well. And if you're feeling brave, share your predictions for the upcoming championship season down below. I know it's early, so do take these predictions with a pinch of salt, but if you want to share your own, get involved. Let's have a look at the bookmakers' predictions. So then, the way this video is going to work today is I'm going to show you the bookmakers' predictions on a tier list. We'll go through each team and talk about them. We've got the bookmakers' top 6, their top 12, the mid-table teams, the teams surviving, and the teams going down. And we've got the badges at the bottom. I mean, look at this. Leeds United, Oxford United, the 2 Sheffield clubs. It's going to be a really interesting mix next season. Who do the bookmakers think will finish bottom? Well, it might not come as a surprise that they have gone for Oxford United. And I do emphasise that this is not my prediction, and I'm not directly picking on Oxford because I think it's not a surprise. They are the team that have just come up through the playoffs, and without much championship experience, maybe that is why the bookmakers tipped them to be the team most likely to finish bottom. Let's not take away from what was an incredible season last year. Des Buckingham did a fantastic job guiding them to the playoffs. They finished in 5th place and got past 2 teams that were favoured to go up more than them, Peterborough United and Bolton Wanderers. Some incredible players like Mark Harris, Josh Murphy, who was crucial in the final, and of course Cameron Brannigan. Can they keep the core of that team and even add some quality to give themselves a chance of staying up in the championship? Well, let's see, but the bookies for now do have them to finish bottom. But what I will say is it is great to see Oxford back in the 2nd division of English football for the first time in just over 20 years. On to the next team then, and the bookies have gone with Plymouth Argyle to join Oxford United. Now, we did look at the very early bookmakers predictions before we even knew what teams were involved, and they did have Plymouth to go down when we last looked at it. They still do. What has changed at Plymouth since then is they have appointed Wayne Rooney as the manager. Now, while a lot of people might point at him and laugh because of what he did at Birmingham City, I hope he does well. I like Plymouth Argyle. I think Wayne Rooney was a fantastic player. I mean, we all do. He was a fantastic player, of course. Can he prove himself as a manager? I mean, you could say at Derby County he had a very difficult task on his hands and did well for portions of that job. It was always going to be difficult to keep them up with a minus 21 point deduction, but it's the Birmingham City job that a lot of people will think of when they see Wayne Rooney now and think, you know, how bad that went. As for Plymouth Argyle, they did just about limp over the line last season. Fair play to them for staying up. Can they do it for another season running, or could they even improve? The bookmakers aren't too convinced. They've got them in the bottom 3, but if I can remember correctly, I think the bookies had them to go down last season, so it'll just be to Plymouth to surprise the bookmakers and prove them wrong again. I think what is crucial is if they can hang on to Morgan Whittaker, or if they do lose him, would they reinvest some money from him back into that team? We will wait and see. The final team to complete the bookmakers bottom 3, and it is quite close if you look at the bookmakers odds, but they have leaned towards Cardiff City, which does seem quite harsh given that they were pretty strong last season. You know, they proved a lot of people wrong. If I can remember correctly, I think the bookies had them to go down last year, and even I had some slight reservations about Cardiff City last season, but fair play to them. Even though they had a transfer embargo, the transfers they managed to get through the door, the players they did bring in on frees and loans, they did a good job. Errol Ballou did a fantastic job. They had a good start to the season, and as I say, finished in that top half. One of the only problems I would say for Cardiff, which they might want to address going into the new season, is their top scorers last season were all on 6 goals. Cardiff could definitely do with that player to get double digits next season, as I believe Ng, Carlan Grant and Atete only got 6 goals each. But we will see. But the bookies for now have them to go down. I'm sure if you're a Cardiff fan, you're not going to be happy with that. Instead of getting angry, just let me know why you think the bookies are wrong and where you think you'll finish. I'm all ears. This isn't my prediction, it's the bookmakers. Moving on to the teams staying up then, and just about staying up, it's Preston North End. Now, some bookmakers have them with pretty similar odds to Cardiff, so they only just think they're going to stay up. Now, Preston, just like with Cardiff, did actually go on to get a top half finish last season. It was the 10th place finish, which is pretty impressive. Ryan Lowe got that team off to a fantastic start of the season, and he is one of the longest serving managers in the Championship now. That said, though, it's not a completely settled picture. A lot of Preston fans are not the biggest fans of Ryan Lowe, and they did end the season in some really poor form. I think they were bottom of the form table over the last 10 or 12 games. If they take that into the start of next season, it could spell trouble. But once again, we will just wait and see what business they do through the summer. The bookies think there'll be a real drop from Preston though, and they've got them to finish 21st. Just above Preston North End, and the bookmakers have gone for Blackburn to survive and pretty much hold on where they finished last season. Now, one of the big things, of course, we need to highlight is Sammy Smodic's going to be playing for Blackburn. In total, it was 33 goals, which is not going to go unnoticed. I do like John Eustace, though, a very safe pair of hands. You know, if Birmingham City had never got rid of him, would they have stayed up? I suppose we'll never know, but I think there's a good chance they would have done. He went into Blackburn for the last few games, and he got them that crucial win against Leicester City on the final day, which did keep them up. And the bookies think they'll stay up once again, but only just. Once again, I am intrigued to see what business Blackburn Rovers do. The bookies have got them 20th for now. Share your thoughts if you're a Rovers fan. Another team tipped to just stay up is Bristol City. The bookies have got them to finish 19th. Now, that would be quite the drop from Bristol City, considering they finished 11th last season. Now, I really liked Bristol City. I have associated them with being somewhere in the bottom half / mid-table over the last few seasons, but there did seem to be a distinct improvement with Liam Manning at Bristol City last season, and I thought they were quite good. Maybe not necessarily in the playoff conversation much, but they were never really in danger of going down. And for me, heading into the new season, so long as they have a good transfer window, I'd be, you know, quite optimistic if I'm a Bristol City fan that you can have another decent season. I do think it is key to see what happens with Tommy Conway. He was crucial for Bristol City last season. He was their top scorer, of course. The bookies have got them to have a distinct drop. If you're a Robins fan, share your thoughts. The final team in this bracket then is Swansea City. The bookies have got Swansea to be 18th, which would be a few places down the table on where they finished last season, of course, which was 14th, with Luke Williams being the manager for the final few games. It wasn't a conventional season. You could say it was a transitional season if you want, but they just need a bit more stability coming into this season, and I do hope it works for Swansea City this time round. A little bit like with Cardiff, they haven't got that goal scorer who went and got double digits. I believe Jamal Lowe did get 9 goals and Jerry Yates got 9 goals. Big boots to fill, of course, with Joel Perreault going out the door last summer. Let's see what players Swansea City bring in this time, though. Moving into mid-table then, and the bookmakers have gone for Millwall first. They've got them to finish roughly where they did last season. In fact, this might be a little bit lower. They were in the bottom half, but they were 13th. So, you know, Neil Harris definitely had the desired effect at Millwall. He got them blasting up the division with some of the best form in the final few games. I believe it was Middlesbrough and Millwall who were the best formed teams over the last few games. So fair play to them, because they did seem to be in quite a lot of danger towards the end of last season. But now that season's gone and they've stayed up, they can start looking forwards to next season with possibly a good summer transfer window, and they can maybe now use that as a platform to push back on into the playoff picture, which is where they had been for the few seasons before. Just above Millwall, we've got Queen's Park Rangers, who are backed to have a slight improvement on last season, where they finished 18th. The bookies have got them up to 16th. Now, when I do my predictions, without giving too much away, I do quite like QPR at the moment. And I just have this feeling there will be an improvement, maybe a bit more than the bookmakers are letting on right now. Although it is very early, I suppose, you know, anything could happen. So any predictions at this point, to be honest, could prove to be correct. I just thought towards the end of the season, a bit like Millwall, they did end the season in some really good form. I did get to see them on the final day, and they were very impressive against Coventry. Elias Chair is such a good player, and they're currently tying down Jimmy Dunn for another contract as well. Yeah, Marty Cifuentes did a fantastic job, and bringing in his own players this summer, maybe, just maybe, QPR could be a dark horse next season. But the bookmakers are playing it safe for now, put in the mid-table, I suppose you could say. If you're a QPR fan, do share your thoughts, but like I say, that final run towards the end of the season, when they did seem dead and buried, very impressive. And that 4-0 win against Leeds in particular, one of the results of the season. Just above Queen's Park Rangers, and we come on to the team that won League One last season, that is Portsmouth. Portsmouth bossed it, and John Massinho did a fantastic job. Can he do well in the first season with Portsmouth back in the Championship? Well, it's unfamiliar territory now for Portsmouth, you know, having been out of the top 2 divisions for 12 seasons. You forget how long it's been, and I am seriously happy to see them come back now. Yeah, I think mid-table would be a good season for Portsmouth. I'm not ruling out that they could finish higher than that, and we will wait and see what business they do this summer. I believe when we looked at the bookmakers' predictions a couple of weeks ago, they were a bit more hot on Portsmouth, but maybe now that we know what teams have been confirmed to come down, they've pushed Portsmouth down a little bit more. But yeah, it seems like overall the bookmakers have got a pretty decent feeling about Portsmouth fitting into the Championship quite well next season. In the same category, we come on to Sheffield Wednesday, who are back to finish in 14th place, which is quite the improvement on a 20th place finish last season. I mean, if you compare where we were this time last year to this time this year with Sheffield Wednesday, of course, when they won the playoff final, it was fantastic. But when we knew Darren Moore was going, it all seemed a bit chaotic and a bit worrying. And, you know, obviously Chancery's not got many fans at Sheffield Wednesday, but one thing I do think he's got right is backing Danny Roll. Now, I'm not surprised to see Danny Roll getting quite a lot of attention from other Championship clubs that are looking for managers right now, but I'm happy to see him signing a new contract at Sheffield Wednesday. They're a huge club with massive potential, and yeah, just like we said with Queen's Park Rangers, give him a summer to build the team he wants. Hopefully Chancery backs him, and Sheffield Wednesday with that would surely do better than they did last year. That's what the bookmakers think. They've got them in mid-table. If you're a Wednesday fan, share your thoughts. The final team in this mid-table category are Stoke City. As I've said before with Stoke City, put them somewhere in the middle and you'll probably be right. But jokes aside here, could this be the season where Stoke City push on and make some progress in the Championship? This would be a slight improvement on a 17th place finish last season, with the bookies having them to finish 13th, but it's still not quite in the top half. Once again, it's a manager that's not had a full summer at this club, with it being Stephen Schumacher, who came to Stoke City from Plymouth last year and did an okay job. Some good results, some not so good. We have already seen them do a bit of business. Stoke City signed Johansson, the goalkeeper from Rotherham United, and I think we all recognise that he was a great shot stopper. If you're a Stoke City fan, you're hoping he's not going to have to face as many shots as Rotherham United did last season, of course. I believe they've also been linked with the likes of Josh Murphy at Oxford United, who we just mentioned, so we'll see what business they do. The bookies right now have put Stoke in the middle. Moving into the top half next then, and who's the team the bookies have got to finish in 12th place? Well, it's Derby County, and Derby are being backed to finish the highest out of the 3 newly promoted teams. They're quite hot on Portsmouth and Derby. It looks like they've got Derby just a bit higher. Derby, of course, did finish second last season. They've got Paul Warne as the manager. We've seen him in the Championship before, but we've seen him with Rotherham United, and it's always seemed to end in relegation, but I suppose you can tie that down with Rotherham United, where it's different this time with Derby County. Once again, we'll see what business they do in the summer transfer window. I was very impressed by the likes of James Collins and Mendes Lang. They got lots of goals last season, so I think it's not out of the realms of possibility Derby do get into the top half. It is good to see them back on their feet, though. I think I can draw some parallels with Derby to Birmingham. What I said about Birmingham is, now that they've gone down, can they come back stronger? And maybe that's what you can say for Derby here. Yes, it wasn't nice to get 21 points deducted and spend 2 seasons in League One, but will they come back this time a stronger outfit? And maybe with a season or 2 of consolidation, could they start pushing towards the top 6? I won't get too carried away just yet, but that's what some Derby County fans will obviously be hoping for in the long term. In 11th place, they've got Hull City. Hull City are a difficult one at the moment. They're one of the few clubs right now without a manager. Now, I have already confessed that I was a fan of Liam Rosenior, and I was sad to see him go. I did watch an interview on TalkSport with Ali Akun Ilakali, and what I like is his ambition. you just think this gamble has got to pay off, because although they did just miss out on the playoffs, there's no doubt about it, Hull City were a very strong team last year, and Liam Rosenior, I felt coming into this season, would have a good chance of getting them into the top 6. It's not going to be with Rosenior this time, and we don't know who it's going to be just yet. Like I say, it's a gamble. If it pays off, great. If it doesn't, it's not going to look good on the high-ups at Hull City. One thing I will say, though, is I don't think Hull City are going to be too afraid to go out and spend a bit of cash this summer transfer window. Can the Tigers get into the top 6 this time? We will see. The bookies have them to finish 11th, and the team they have to finish 10th are Watford. Watford's an interesting one. I do like that they've tied Tom Cleverley down to the club, and I really do hope it works for him. I do feel like we saw a slightly different side to Watford last season, because Ismail didn't have a great season, if we're being honest, but he got a bit more time than we probably would have expected at Watford. And after Ismail was dismissed, Tom Cleverley took the reins, and he actually did all right. They drew a lot of games, but they were playing quite good football and taking points off teams that had more to play for than them. So given that they've already got the manager in place now before we even get to June, you feel like there's a good chance Watford could get some preparations done and have a good start to the season, and that's what they'll need if they want to get back towards pushing to the Premier League. Parachute payments have now run out at Vicarage Road, so yeah, it's not going to be easy. The bookies think they'll be better than last season and in that top 10. Last season it was a 15th place finish. The team the bookmakers have in 9th is another team they've got to improve from last season, and that's Sunderland. Sunderland, another club right now with a vacancy at the top. Who is the manager going to be? It was Mike Dodds for the final few games of last season, but he was just an interim, and as we've said a few times, it did genuinely feel like Sunderland were on autopilot, but plenty of great players there. I mean, Jack Clark, if Sunderland keep a hold of Jack Clark, he is such a good player for this level, and could really set it alight. With the right manager as well, Sunderland can push in the right direction. They were in the playoffs the season before. It's just very early to judge right now. I'll put that to the Sunderland fans. I feel like they're one of the more difficult teams to predict if you're doing an early prediction right now. In 8th place, they've gone with Coventry, which would be a 1-place improvement on last season. I think we can now establish Coventry City are a top half team. Can we be a top 6 team again? 2 years ago, it was a 12th place finish. 1 year ago, it was a 5th place finish. Last season, it was a 9th place finish, with the caveat that we did have a very good FA Cup run. Maybe now that Mark Robins has ticked that box with Doug King, because he did want a cup run, we can get back to just focusing on the league. Maybe it was just a bit too much to juggle the two last season. Coventry City already, of course, signed Mason Clark, and we have now signed Rafael Borges Rodriguez. I'm interested to see how he does. I believe he was playing in the Australian League before. Of course, I think there's going to be quite a bit of money spent for Coventry City. I do think it'd be great to hold on to Ben Sheaf. All Coventry fans will think that, but if the offer is right as far as Doug King is concerned, I'm sure he would accept it. But hopefully, if we did sell a player for over 10 or 15 million, we would retool and re-equip in the team. And yeah, maybe, because last summer was such a busy window from Coventry City's perspective, with Hamer going out so late, Gyökeres had to go, Sims and Wright took a while to get going. Maybe this time we can have a better start, and that's what I'm going to say. We need a strong start this time round, because the last 2 seasons we've had a slow start. You can say there's reasons for both of those, yes, granted, but we do need a strong start this time. Otherwise, once again, we could miss the boat again, and I'd love to see us get back into the top 6, and I think there's a possibility. The bookies have put us 8th. Coventry fans, what are we saying? 7th then, the final team to miss out, it's Norwich City. Although the bookmakers are a bit split on this. Some of them have Norwich to finish 6th, so we'll just put them here but say they're 6.5 if that makes sense. Obviously, Norwich City, another team managerless at the moment. We've seen that Wagner went after the playoff semi-finals against Leeds United. I thought he did a decent job last year. There's times where the Norwich fans were really on his back, and I was not 100% sure with that. But the way they capitulated at Ellen Road was kind of inexcusable, and they have decided to get rid of him. Now we've seen Will Still, Steve Cooper, Liam Rosenior all be linked with the job. Maybe something will happen in the next 24 or 48 hours, we will see. And maybe the bookies might move them up or down their table prediction once they have appointed that new manager. So we will see. I also think it's key to hold on to some of their best players, of course. Josh Sargent, I think, will get quite a lot of attention. I believe he's been linked to Leeds United. Norwich fans, share your thoughts. You're back to finish 7th, but some of the bookies have you 6th. And the team that most bookies have in 6th place are Sheffield United. As I say, some of the bookmakers have Sheffield United 7th and Norwich 6th. Some Norwich 7th and Sheffield United 6th. Anyway, we've gone with Sheffield United being 6th here then. Of course, they've got a great track record in the Championship. The last few times they've been in it, I would expect them to be in that top 6. It's going to be a little bit different this time around. You do feel like there's a big rebuild needed. Of course, will they be able to hang on to their best players? Gustavo Hamer, Brereton Diaz, will they be able to add some quality to that as well? We do know that there will be a points deduction for Sheffield United for financial breaches as well, which doesn't help. So maybe I can agree with the bookies thinking they'll be up at that end of the table, but not quite in the top 2 mix. I mean, they might be, to be fair. It's so early into the summer that we don't know what Sheffield United are going to do right now, so that's why the bookies are probably trying to play it quite safe, having them in the top 6 but not in the top 2. If you're a Blades fan, share your thoughts. In 5th place, the bookies have gone for West Brom to hold. Now, West Brom, just like with Norwich, they fell short in the playoff semi-finals, but to be fair, West Brom lost to Southampton, who went on to get promoted. I mean, Southampton was so good this season, so it's no disgrace for West Brom. West Brom, it looks like they're sticking with Corberon, and I do think he's a great manager at this level. Can he get them into the top 6 again? Could he even do one better and get them into the top 2? It will once again come down to, can they hang on to great players like Thomas Asante, who is always going to attract attention with the quality he has. But I think all of us, including the bookmakers, should be in agreement that West Brom will be in that mix, and they've got them 5th. Baggies fans, what's your verdict? On to the top 4 then, and quite the improvement here for Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough finished 8th last year. They'd finished 4th the season before, and the bookies have them to finish 4th next year. Now, Michael Carrick is going into his 3rd season as Middlesbrough manager, and a lot of people are quite hot on him at Middlesbrough. They do think good things of him as a young manager. He's learning his trade. Is he getting better as a manager? I mean, based on the table last season, they didn't do as well. One thing I will say, though, is Middlesbrough ended the season with Millwall as the best formed team. So as we said, can they carry that on into the start of next season? Can they get Latte Lath to be the next Chuba Akpom and get 25 goals or something? Possibly. Middlesbrough are always fancied to be in this region of the table, and for good reason. The bookies are going with them to finish 4th this time round. What's your thoughts? And the team the bookmakers have to finish 3rd are the team that finished 3rd 2 seasons ago, Luton Town. Luton Town, of course, finished 3rd. They got through the playoffs. They went up to the Premier League. They didn't actually spend that much money after their promotion. They did well with the signings they did make, and they performed the best out of the 3 newly promoted teams, but they did still come down in 18th place. Can they make a swift return? Well, the bookies have them there or thereabouts in 3rd place. I think it's absolutely crucial that Luton Town hang on to Rob Edwards, because I really like him, and I think he should stay at Luton, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him being linked with some Premier League vacancies, for example, because there's so many job opportunities coming up at this moment in time. I know they've already announced their retained list for next season as well. We will see. On to the bookmakers' top 2 though, and in 2nd place they've gone with Burnley. Now, Burnley did win the Championship, as we said, 2 seasons ago now. They finished 19th in the Premier League. Quite a lot of expectation from them. Didn't quite deliver. They're coming back down. But the big thing is, right now, Vincent Kompany to Bayern Munich is a done deal in principle. Now, I'll say that for now because it could change. It could possibly fall through after I've made this video, or it could become official news. Plenty of people have got an opinion on this. Some people think it's a bit crazy to see him being linked to Bayern Munich. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He did such a good job with Burnley in the Championship. But I just think they weren't very good last year, and I thought they would be. I do think they'll be strong in the Championship next year. Without giving away my prediction, I do think they'll be up at this end of the table. The bookies do as well. They've got them in 2nd place. But as I say, it's a big talking point right now. Who's going to be the manager? And on to 1st place, the bookies have gone with Leeds United, the playoff final losers from last season. And with this video being made so close to the end of last season, the day after the playoff final, there will still be Leeds United fans who are hurting right now. But one thing I did say before that playoff final is I do expect the loser to be right up there next season, and that's what the bookies have gone for. They've gone for Leeds to get automatic promotion and win the league next year. Like I say, if you're a Leeds United fan right now, you are hurting. You don't want to be in the Championship, you wanted to get up, and I think in a way you were very unlucky. To get 90 points and not go up is crazy. It was a very competitive Championship last year. Well done to Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, but what that does mean for me is it won't be as competitive next season. Yes, Burnley, Luton and Sheffield United are strong teams coming down to this level, but Leeds United should really fancy themselves to get into that top 2 and promoted. Right now, it's so early into the summer. Will Daniel Farkas still be there when we get to August? I don't know, actually. I think he should be, but I know there's some Leeds fans that aren't too impressed, you know, that they'll be disappointed. One thing I will say, though, is he'd never been in the playoffs before, but he is good at getting teams automatically promoted, so maybe that is the way it's going to have to be. But obviously the reality right now is that great players like Somerville might get linked at moving away from Leeds United. But whatever happens, I do think, even if they do lose some of their key players, Leeds United will be fancied to do well by the bookmakers and probably myself as well. Leeds are back to win the league with Burnley in second. Luton, Middlesbrough, West Brom and Sheffield United in the playoffs. Cardiff, Plymouth and Oxford United are the teams to go down. Share your thoughts on the bookmakers' predictions. So then guys, as I say, that is the bookmakers' very early predictions for the 24-25 Championship season. If you're feeling brave, share your own predictions down below. I'll give my early predictions in a few days' time, maybe in a week. If you want to support this video, please make sure to drop a like. It's also free to subscribe as well. And in the next video, we'll have a look at the bookmakers' early Premier League predictions. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace out.